Well, good morning. Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for all of you for being here today. This is another very important day in our push to reduce homelessness throughout the city and throughout the region. Today we are opening the second of 3 temporary bridge shelters that will provide a safe and secure place for homeless individuals to help begin to turn their lives around. This shelter on Midway Drive, in the Midway District here, will have beds for up to 200 homeless veterans. But it's a lot more than just putting a roof over their head. Everything inside this shelter is geared towards helping people find permanent housing, which is our ultimate goal. And that's why the temporary bridge shelters also include health care, job search assistance, mental health, and substance abuse counseling. And most importantly, we're connecting each individual to staying in these shelters with a housing navigator. It's a housing professional who will help each of them find a home to call their own. Look, I think everybody here knows that San Diego is a very proud military community, and we have a long history of supporting our active duty and retired military personnel. But the reality is that we do have some veterans who are struggling, and they have given so much to our country and now find themselves living in unsafe and often unsanitary conditions. Some are sleeping on the sidewalks, parks, and canyons. That is unacceptable. So it is our moral obligation to do what we can to help them. We've made a lot of progress so far to reduce our homeless among our veterans. The Housing Our Heroes campaign has matched more than 1,000 homeless veterans with permanent housing. But there are so many more veterans who need our help. And I could not think of a better service provider than Veterans Village of San Diego to get the job done. This organization, as I think you know, works day in and day out with our veterans. And their staff understands the special challenges and needs of our veterans population. And I look forward to hearing a lot more of the success stories in the coming months now that this bridge shelter is open. It takes a lot of people to make these shelters possible. So I want to acknowledge the leadership and support, particularly of Peter Seidler and Dan Shea. And I also want to thank the San Diego Housing Commission for their support and participation in these important efforts. I also want to thank my colleagues on the San Diego City Council for supporting these shelters, and especially the council members who stepped up to support solutions in neighborhoods that they represent. And you're going to hear from Lori Zaff in just a second. And I particularly want to thank our partners at the County of San Diego, and particularly Supervisor Ron Roberts, who leads our regional task force. This has been a partnership from the very beginning, everybody working together with a common goal. And with that, I'd like to invite Supervisor Roberts up to say a few words. Supervisor?
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Faulkner. Another beautiful San Diego day. More beautiful because we're opening this, and it seemed like it was just a few short weeks ago that I guess it was about 3 months ago when we opened the facilities over at B Street for the interim facilities, knowing that we were going to work on something a little better than having the tents out in the parking lot. But that was a success. I think we have about 24 of those families that went into permanent housing. So even the interim steps now have led to a very successful effort for a number of the people. And this really represents, this is another interim step. And it hadn't been that long ago, Kim, since you and I sat down and we talked about the possibility that Veterans Village could perhaps have a shelter this winter. And I carried that message over to 2 people that the mayor mentioned, both Dan Shea and especially Peter Seidler, who has taken this as something as a personal goal and challenge is to help get people off the streets. When you go into this facility, you're going to say this is a huge, huge improvement over anybody that's out there trying to get by living on the streets or the canyons or the riverbeds. It makes a big difference. Veterans Village has an incredible history of helping veterans, as the mayor acknowledged. Some of you might not remember, but we started that in an old motel many, many years ago. And there was a lot of pushback on that. You know, oh my God, what are you doing to our neighborhood? And some of us thought then we got to persevere in this because we can do something. It's going to be more than just an old motel when we're done with it. And I'm pleased to say over now 3 decades of work with the Veterans Village, it is far more than just an old motel. But let me, going forward, the county is going to be a partner here. We're going to have various teams in here. We're going to be able to help assess people. We're going to track people in a way that will lead to much better outcomes than we're seeing. We're going to have our HOT teams, which are our homeless outreach teams. We're going to have our PERT teams. We're going to be able to enroll people for benefits that they might be entitled to. We're going to help them get started in a different way. We can help people. When we can get people into an environment like this, it's not just temporary. You know, our goal, we know that housing first is the solution. We have a housing crisis in San Diego. We need to get that word out. You know, we are short on housing all the way through, top to bottom, and every house we built is part of the solution. And I'm talking about San Diego County, not just San Diego City. We've enrolled other mayors and other councils in this effort, and we're going to continue to do that. So, you know, this is going to help a wonderful improvement for a lot of people during this holiday season. I was just inside the facility with Kim, and she was telling me how they had all these clothes in there and they need warm coats. She talked me out of my coat, and so I'm going to share with you, any of you got anything in your closet that you might not be using, they've got a real need for clothing, especially men's clothing, but anybody's, you know, anything you can help with, they're here to help others, so we need to help them. Have a great holiday season, and thanks to all of you. Thanks to you, Mayor. You have been absolutely phenomenal in leading this effort. We're going to continue to work together. And damn the torpedoes, let's keep going.
Thank you, Ron.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Supervisor. Thank you for your great words. So I mentioned earlier, thankful for those members of the City Council that stepped up, and from the very beginning, Councilmember Lori Zaff, who represents this district, said how can she help, how can she be part of the solution. Lori, your leadership means a whole lot to everybody throughout the city, and particularly for our veterans who we're helping here today. Councilmember Lori Zaff.
Thank you. Well, a big thank you back at you. The mayor's leadership with so many partners has made this all possible. I want to thank him. I want to thank his staff, Veterans Village. I mean, everybody up here and so many people made this possible in a really quick, I know sometimes it doesn't seem that quick, but in a really quick turnaround time. I was more than happy to welcome this shelter right here in my district. If you go around the local area around here, you see so many people who are homeless, and a lot of them are our veterans. And even though it might be warm right now during the day, I think we all know it is really cold, for us San Diegans anyway, at night. And so it's just wrong and heartbreaking to see people shivering and cold out on the streets. We're already having people check in here. If you go in, they're already checking in. And no matter where a veteran is from, what part of the country, they served our country. And we need to help them, not just with the housing, but as you heard, with services, with job training, with clean showers, and a place to get a good night's sleep, warm good night's sleep. So I'm more than happy to welcome the veterans, welcome the people who are in the surrounding area to come and take advantage of this wonderful facility. But I do want to say, we talk about housing first, and that is a longer-term plan. But we also need to talk about prevention so that we don't need these facilities. We need to talk about and have conversations about how we house people and get them workforce training and help them before they're on the streets, before they're drug addicted and on the streets. That involves helping our foster kids who are aging out, 300 a year, and about 150 of them, half of them, end up being homeless. So, and our veterans. So I think it's a dual track. We need to help the people who are here in this situation now, but I really think as a city, as a county, the humane, compassionate, right thing to do is work on prevention so that we're not here opening more shelters. So anyway, thank you, and I'm not sure who is introduced next. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Laura. Well, thank you. As I said before, a team effort all the way around. I can't say enough about our Veterans Village organization and our president, Kim Mitchell, for the work that they continue to do year in and year out, but again, for their leadership, for jumping in, for making a huge difference. And as you'll get a chance to see here in just a second when you walk inside, a bridge shelter that's going to make a huge difference in people's lives. Kim and everybody, your team, thank you for what you're doing for this city, for our country, and please come up and say a few words.
Good morning. Mr. Mayor, thank you for your leadership. We have worked so hard in the last, month and a half, 2 months to do this. And from moving from Washington, D.C., I've never seen a community come together so quickly for a common purpose. And the partnership between the mayor's staff, the county, council member Zapp, and then the partnership that we have developed with Alpha Project and Father Joe's Villages, it's just been an amazing thing. And my team is ready. We're excited. We're excited about the opportunity to help bring some of our homeless veterans that are living here on the streets in San Diego, get them into a clean and safe environment, and get them into some services, some veteran-specific services as well, and then get them transferred into permanent housing as quickly as possible. And we're very excited to be part of this solution, and we can't thank everyone enough, especially to get this open before Christmas. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Kim. Thank you. Well done. Well, thank you, and I want to take just in conclusion and a reminder why these temporary bridge shelters are so important. Because if you'd heard from several of our speakers, we need to build more housing. We simply do not have enough supply to meet the demand, especially when it comes to housing for our low-income families and people in San Diego. And the result is we have a lot of people struggling to find that housing. And so while this statewide shortage has been building up for years, it's important for us to move forward now to making sure that we are help solve those housing issues. And that's why we not only are here today, but expanded the safe parking program, other creative ideas and solutions. It's all about helping people. It's about getting people off the street. And in conclusion, it's about neighbors helping neighbors. And I couldn't be more proud of San Diegans who have stepped up, participated, who have helped, who have volunteered to make this happen. Thank you again to everybody at Veterans Village. You're making a huge difference in our city, in our community. On behalf of a grateful mayor and a grateful city, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Any of us will be happy to answer any questions one-on-one. Merry Christmas and happy holidays, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you, Josiah. Thank you, my man.